There we go. So today is another Thursday. We're Thursday before Thanksgiving, which is super exciting. I love Thanksgiving. I love all the things that you guys are going to do next week. But before that, we have business to take care of this weekend, and maybe some business next week as well. Before we get into the Thanksgiving spirit, let's start off this morning with gratitude, shout outs, any wins that anyone wants to share. Pop your hand up and we will call on you so everybody could hear it. We'll give it a second and go from there. Sarissa, let's start with you. Morning.
I'm really the first one to raise my hand. Good morning.
Yes.
I have something that just like really has kind of jacked with me this week, and in a good way. I have a listing that terminated recently, and I was really sad about it because it was a big listing and blah blah blah. And yet we took good care of them. We parted on great terms that will maybe relist again someday. And several weeks later, I mean, it's been over a month, I received a thank you note this week with a check inside. And it's not a small check. It's not a massive check, but it's a check that like would take some generosity. And I called the client immediately and I said, I'm, you guys are the biggest hearts in the world. I can't accept this. And she said, well, you can accept it. And I just like was kind of just taken back. And I'm like, okay, can you give me a couple days to think about this? And I'm just really grateful. And I woke up this morning just still with it on my heart. And I thought, like, it just reignites in me like this passion to like live below our means, to run profitable businesses so that we can give like above and beyond and just have this like ripple effect of generosity. Because what it's done in me now, I don't have anything that I am like scraping by that I needed this money for, but now I get to be thoughtful about how could I make a difference and spread just the heart of generosity and the heart of like how these people are generous. They like could have so many things in the world, and don't get me wrong, they have nice stuff, but they are like, anyways, I'm just like kind of taken back, and I just want to encourage us, whether it's little or whether it's a lot, like what you do out there matters. So that's all.
I love that generosity story. That's awesome. And man, that's so true. The reason we run profitable businesses, the reason that we have lifestyles, below our means, hopefully, right, is so that we can give, right? Because at the end of the day, like those are the things that really matter, right? I love that. Michaela, going to you. Good morning, Michaela. Happy 1-year anniversary.
Thank you. That's actually what I was going to share is my 1 year with the team was on Tuesday, and I am like at a loss for words. I'm just so excited to still be here. It's almost like it's my first day still all the time. And just excited that I found my place. So yeah, I love my team. Thanks for having me, I guess.
I love that. Great job, Michaela. And Chris always says it's always day one. So in the spirit of day one, happy day one again. I love that. Jordan, good morning.
I want to shout out Amanda Benoit on our team because this next week she will be the first in our organization to pass in sales to pass $200,000. And at that, and I think her coming on, her hitting that, and like Maria coming on and talking to us about hitting $500,000, like that just shows us what the potential is. And I think that's really, really cool that we have always more to like look up to and strive to, because you can only grow as high as your ceiling, and the ceiling's always raised here.
Man, I love that. Congratulations to you and to Amanda for just sticking with it for so long and just doing the work and seeing these results. It's amazing. Great job. Jaime, going to you.
All right, thank you. I want to give a shout out to Nikki on our team. Last week we shouted her out for getting a buyer rep from Circle Prospecting, and an update to that is that she has 3 pendings as a result from that one client, and she sent out 4 more offers yesterday. So Nikki, proud of you. Thank you for all that you're doing, and keep inspiring us all.
Right on. I love that. I love that. Great job, Nikki. Love to see that. Love to see that. And Jaime, also on your team, I noticed your husband and wife duo door knocked together. That was really cool. It was a very cute picture. Brian and Cheryl, great job door knocking. They're getting lots of results through door knocking in Houston, you guys. If it's possible in Houston, it's possible in every Texas city. And I want to give a shout out to Yvette in Austin. She is queen of getting price reductions, you guys. Every strategy meeting that we have with a team for sellers, right after she goes and she gets her price reductions, she gets price reductions like every single week so that she can move her inventory. So I really want to shout her out for just like, she's made the switch in her mind that the old market is gone and the new market is here, and let's make it happen. And then I also want to shout out Alyssa on our team here in Austin. She took a listing from working the leads in the pond. All of our teams probably have old leads, right? What they are is seasoned. They're seasoned leads. And so there's a lot of opportunity out there. And kudos to you, Alyssa, for making the most out of those opportunities and getting yourself another listing. So I love that. This morning, speaking of opportunities, man, I was watching Jordan Davis on Instagram. If you don't follow Jordan on Instagram, she is really fun to follow on Instagram. She was vacationing last week, and I recognized the place because I had gone there earlier this year. It's in Puerto Rico. It's beautiful. I'll let them tell you all about it. But I remember that it was wonderful, and it was also very expensive. So I was like, oh, nice trip. And she's like, yeah, it didn't cost anything. And I was like, wait a second, it cost me something. And she's like, Matt can absolutely do a presentation to the team that this is nothing business oriented. You're not going to go get another listing with this, right? But I thought about like a life worth living, guys. I thought about like how many of us just did our business plans and put vacations on there for next year. And I thought, gosh, wouldn't it be nice to be Jordan and Matt Davis versus Adelina, who pays for everything, right? Let's be Jordan and Matt, who like have figured out the system. So with that in mind, I'm super excited to be able to introduce you guys to Mr. Matt, and he's got a slide deck. He is a prepared professional. And I'm going to spotlight him for you guys so you guys can find him on your screen. There he is. So I'm excited, Matt, it's all yours. You are in control.
Oh, that's a scary thing. You might want to know me a little bit better before you go ahead and just hand it all off onto me. But thanks for the intro. I appreciate it. For those that don't know me, my name's Matt Davis. My wonderful and beautiful wife is Jordan Davis. She's the owner and team leader of the Davis team in Dallas, Fort Worth. And Adelina's right. We just recently got back from a trip in Puerto Rico where we were able to have that trip for free. And so the idea was to put something together. So today, as I go through this, keep in mind that this is the first time I've ever like formally presented some material to anybody on rewards. So feel free to make fun of me, maybe not. Just give me some grace here as we walk through this. But the idea of today is for y'all. So I love talking about rewards. Probably with my wife, as you can imagine, rolls her eyes sometimes. But I want you guys to, if you have questions for me, or if I say something that you don't understand, or if I talk too fast, please feel free to interrupt me, put it in the chat. I may or may not respond to you. It just depends on my appearance. I'm kidding. No, go ahead and ask or put in the chat, whatever you might need, because I want you guys to leave today with an idea of how you can maximize what you're currently spending in your business or your personal life to actually get some free rewards that you don't only have to go with yourself. You could take your family, you could take your spouse. And it's a lot more fun when you get to go to these places and it doesn't cost you anything because it's money you're already spending, right? So it's not like you're going to create or have to go out and spend more money to do it. So before I get going too far into this, feel free to put it in the chat or to talk. Has anybody, I guess, how many people on the call are familiar with a status, like with the airlines or Marriott? Do you know what status is, right?
Like, I think most people have either heard of it. So like 10% of people might be professionals in this. And then 90% of us are like, yeah, we've kind of heard about it.
Okay.
So that's probably where we are.
Awesome. So those that have heard about it, right, or might be, thanks, Rob, your wife's an expert. Awesome. We need to get her on the call. But those that have heard about it, how many of you have actually used your rewards to claim a free night or a hotel or an airplane flight or anything like that? Anybody ever done that? Okay. Just trying to get a read on how many people are familiar with this one. Okay, Bart, that's funny. All right, awesome, guys. So what we'll do is the idea today, reward points, right? You use credit cards. So let's go ahead and jump to a little quick fun exercise. I hope you guys enjoy. Just put in the chat here. We're going to start with our local trip. Okay. So I want you guys to think about how much you would pay for a 5-star hotel. Okay. Somewhere local. So wherever your city, your metroplex is, you're going to take a date night, a staycation, whatever. How much do you think you would pay for that? That's the Drover Hotel in Fort Worth if you've never stayed there. So just kind of curious. Ooh, almost. Ooh, that's close. Yep. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yep. The Drover was actually $600 a night, but you're exactly right. Most 4 to 5 star hotels are around that 400 to 500 range. Okay. The second one, the middle one, is a big Marriott. This is a regional trip. So think about taking your family somewhere for a couple nights away. You got flights involved. You've got hotel nights. So what do you think the cost of that's going to be, right? Staying 3 nights in a hotel plus a flight. Yep. Yep. So this one, you're exactly right. That's about how much it costs. What's interesting is this one was slightly less expensive only because it was Orlando, right? So it's right by Disney World. They want you to get there. It's kind of like Vegas. So it was only $350 a night. Usually you're going to be close to $600 a night. And the last one, now Adelina, you probably know this one because you just went there, but let's think about international. Okay. You want to go somewhere, get on a flight, you're going for a few hours and you're staying at a 5-star resort. Okay. This is the St. Regis in Puerto Rico. So let's see some, oh, spot on. Yeah. You guys are right there. Okay. So now this was just for our flights and our hotel. Okay. This did not include food or anything else. Now the fun part, right? How do you get this stuff? This is all costing other people. How do you make this for free? How do you utilize it? Well, here's how you do it. So these all 3 were actually a trip that Jordan and I have taken in the last 12 months for free that didn't cost us a thing. Okay. The first one was with a 1-night certificate with my credit card. Every year I get a free night certificate and I can stay anywhere I want. I got this for free. Saved me $600. Jordan and I took an anniversary trip, just did a staycation, stayed there. The middle one was Orlando. We took the 2 boys. Those are our 2 boys right there playing checkers. And that's how many Marriott points it cost us. And that's how many American Airlines miles it cost us. So we saved just right there $2,000. Now, again, this was in the last 12 months, guys. So think about what you could do over 10 years about building those life experiences for your team and for yourself. So imagine then now into the fun one, how much did we save in just hotels and miles, right? $5,000 is what we saved. So the Marriott hotels, that took me a little bit to save at 300,000 points. That took a while. And I will note, if you have a spouse that also has credit cards, and if you see Jordan, she's probably laughing right now because she knows what I'm about to say. You might want to ask her sometimes about how many points she has, because I didn't realize that my wife had a bunch of points. And so I asked her one time, I was like, hey, so we're at the St. Regis. And I said, hey, so how many points do you have in Marriott? She's like, I don't know. Let me look. She pulls her app up. She goes, I'm like 400,000. I was like, I'm sorry, what? How many points do you have? So as you go through and you're planning this, guys, if you have a spouse who also has points, you might want to check in with that one. All right. Now, how do you do this, right? So as a rule of thumb, the best thing to say or where to start here is if you use a credit card, just one credit card, you get so many points per dollars. If you use that credit card on their stuff, meaning it's a hotel card like a Marriott or a Hilton, and you use it to buy Marriott or Hilton items like the hotel, or you use it to pay for your lunch or your dinner, you're going to get a lot more points there. And that's why that $1 for 1 to 6 points is so great, right? So yeah, exactly right. Pay it off every month. So that was in here, I think, somewhere. But the key is this is not something that you're going to charge up and then it rolls over. You just keep that debt going. You got to pay it off every month. Most of the cards that I have are very, very high interest rates, like 20% interest, because of all the great features they give you. So you don't want to miss a payment. But again, you're already making these payments, so just pay it off. And then Another rule of thumb is for about every dollar you spend, or about every dollar of a value is worth 1,000 points. So if your cost of your hotel is going to cost you $1,000, you probably need about 100,000 points. Okay. Any questions? I feel like I'm flying through this really
That's
quickly.
okay. I feel like you said that a little reverse. If you spend $1, you're not getting 1,000 points. You need 1,000 points to cash out $1. Like it's kind of the reverse of what you said. It was also a big aha to me that I should use my American Airlines credit card to buy my American Airlines flight. Like you're doubling up and they give you extra benefits. So I think you kind of ran through that quick, but that was something that was like, we have a Marriott, what is it? Marriott Envoy, whatever credit card. Like you use that to book your hotel. Not to say you should have a credit card for every single thing you do, but we happen to have Marriott, Bonvoy, and we have American Airlines. And don't use my Marriott to book my American Airlines flight, whatever. Even if for us, we have to transfer money between accounts or move it for the CPA on what expense account it should be on. It's just better to use Marriott to book the hotel and American Airlines to book the flight.
Yep, you're exactly right, Joe. Because you're going to get, if you book that, you're going to get 2 points, right? But if you book the flight with the American Airlines card, you get 6 points for whatever dollar you spend. So now that you kind of have an idea of how to earn these points, use your credit card, you have to ask yourself, how do you choose which credit card, right? So I like to say, choose how you want to receive those rewards, right? Think about, we're just talking about love language here, right? How do you receive love? How do you want to get this reward back? Do you want it in hotel points? Do you want it in airline points? Do you want it in cash, which is often in statement credits and gift cards? Do you not want to be tied to anybody like a Capital One, to Discover, American Express is like this as well. But you kind of have to decide how you want those rewards given back to you. And then you can kind of do the research on which credit cards to choose. Now, in a couple slides, I've got an example for you guys and breaking some credit cards down so that you guys can have an idea. But that's just one thing you want to consider. How do you want to receive those rewards? Let's see here. There we go. The last thing for you guys to consider is to pay for the credit card or to not pay. That is the question. So for those that are used to my humor, my dad jokes, there you go. If you can understand, to pay or not to pay, that is the question. So when you go through it, decide if you don't want to pay, that's fine. But value is what you get, right? So price is what you pay, value is what you get. If you pay for your credit card, you typically get a lot more built-in perks automatically. So you're going to get maybe access to an airport lounge. You're going to get a dedicated concierge line. You're going to be able to book reservations in restaurants that you can't get otherwise. For example, on Marriott, the credit card that we have, they sponsor a lot of sporting events, other stuff worldwide. And so you get unique experiences. Like I got an email the other day because the Formula One is coming to Las Vegas next year. And we were given the opportunity to buy Formula One tickets in Vegas a week before anybody else had the opportunity to do it because of our Marriott rewards. So just think about that as you go through it. I'm not saying to pay for cards. I'm not saying not to pay for it. It's just totally your call. Okay. Now on to the next one. Before we get going on credit cards, I want to do an exercise for everybody because we've talked about how to earn your points. Now, what does this actually mean? How is this going to result to your life? So I want you to think in your head, how much are you spending right now, whether it's business, whether it's personal, how much are you spending every month on your expenses? And then how much of that is times it by 12? How much is your annual spend? Because you're essentially just leveraging. This is no different than what massive companies do for their credit cards, their American Airlines, their all of that. I was part of a Fortune 2 company, and they were spending something in the area of $20 to $30 million a year with American Airlines on flying people around. They go straight to American Airlines and they go, what are you going to give us for free to use your airline so that you're preferred? So these companies are doing it. This is just a different level. You guys all own your own businesses. This is just maximizing that. Also, I put in here, you do have the ability to pay your mortgage and your taxes with a credit card. You can't do it directly, so you have to use third parties, but it is an option. So you can use Plastique to pay your mortgage, which essentially they write a paper check straight to your mortgage company, and then they charge your credit card, just working capital. Same thing with pay1040.com. That you can pay straight to the IRS. So all of the money that you're estimating your taxes on, you're sending those estimated taxes every quarter, you can get credit for those too. They do charge a fee, usually it's 2 to 3%, just keep that in mind, but you do have the ability to add those to it. So does everybody have their number in their head because the next one you're gonna want it for the next slide. Awesome. Okay, cool. I wanted to spend some time on this slide. For those that are kind of curious, this is my last slide. So if you've fallen asleep, you are welcome to engage here for this slide because we're almost done. I swear. I get it. I'm a DIC on the disc profile, so my C is kind of coming out in force with this one. So again, give me some grace here. But as we go through this, I chose Marriott, right? So now we all have our number in our head. How do you maximize that? Well, it's depending on what rewards you do. I just chose Marriott because it was easy. But here's 4 credit cards for them. These are personal cards. They have one more that's a business card, which is fine. You can do it for your business. But as you can see, we talked about, let's say $50,000, right? Let's look at 50 grand. What would, if you spend $50,000 a year, which is about $4,000 a month in your expenses, what would that get you? Well, if you look at the bondless Chase card, that one right in the middle that cost you $95, if you did 50,000 points that are $50,000 in expenses, that would equal 100,000 points, right? And so if you look at the next one, the Bevy, if you add 100, the same 50,000, you would be 100,000, and then you would actually add 125,000. You guys see this middle section right here? See if I can, oops, I went back. I can't highlight it. I tried to highlight it and be fancy. But anyways, so this middle section right here, where it says 125,000 points if you spend $4,000 in 3 months. So there you go. So you're actually getting 225,000 points. That's essentially equivalent to 2 nights at the Ritz, 4 nights at a Marriott, like 2 weeks at a Courtyard Marriott. So they have these built-in bonuses here for when you're first there. If you look at the Boundless card, you go back to the one I talked about, just $3,000 the first 6 months gives you 3 free nights right there. And then I think it's also important to know that if you look here at the bottom, the status here, it says silver status, gold status, platinum. Remember earlier I was saying if you pay for the card, you get a lot of extras, right? And so if you look here on the right side, this platinum says 50%, you actually get a 50% bonus if you're a platinum status. So it just sort of starts accruing and goes and goes and goes as you go forward with it. So consider that as you walk through it. You've got it. I don't want to go through all of this at the same time, but this 25 elite night credit, what that is that essentially gives you as if you had stayed in that hotel. So let's say if you're already going out and you're staying 25 nights in a hotel, if you add 25 more nights on top of that, it's going to take you to equivalent to 50 nights. So then your status increases, and then you have a chance to gain more. So just an opportunity here with all of that. Also, I think it's key to know the average hotel is going to cost you about 40 to 50,000 points with Marriott. With a Courtyard, like a lower one, it's going to cost you about 20,000 points. Or a Ritz or a St. Regis is going to cost you about 100 to 120,000 points a night. And I think that's, let's see here if I want to hit on anything else. No, that'll do it. Any questions? That kind of wraps it up here. So hopefully you guys saw some value in that. I know we ran through that extremely fast, but any questions, any thing I can go more into?
I asked you on our trip because they offered us points or the breakfast, the complimentary breakfast. And of course, if you don't eat breakfast, like obviously don't take the breakfast. But I had asked you, like, what's the better value? And do you ever buy airline points? Like when you're on a flight and they're like, if you do this, that, and the other, like you can double this airline flights. And we were talking about, you said only one time when you were trying to get a certain flight, but like, how do you know if you take the points?
Oh, good question. So typically I don't, when they offer it, I don't buy it, like when you check in, you can buy, 1,000 points, 2,000 points. If I just do my quick conversion in my head and say, however many thousands, right, divided by 1,000, that tells you how many dollars, if it's worth it. It's typically not worth it. Now, what you're referring to is, we had my sales conference in Hawaii, and we wanted to fly back first class because it's like a 9-hour flight on that return flight. It is super long. And our flight was on that big plane that had the pods, right, in first class. And so I wanted to cash in those, and I was like 30,000 or 40,000 points short. But if I tried to buy those tickets by ourselves, it was going to cost us like $3,000. So I only needed to spend like $300 buying extra points. So it was worth it in that moment to get us what we wanted. But I typically don't buy much of those. Bart, do I transfer points to maximize the value of them? Typically not because I find anything odd with it. I usually spend all, like I spend all my American stuff on American Airlines, and I spend all my Marriott on Marriott. I do have some points with American Express, and so maybe I'll use it for that, because some of them, you're right, they'll link up and you can transfer those.
Question, Matt. My aha, just from hearing you talk, is I really should probably condense my spending to 1 or 2 credit cards and 1 or 2 airlines. Like I find myself like just flying with whoever, and whatever card was in my wallet that day is the one I used, right? And so like for you guys as a family, do you have 1 or 2 that you use? Like how do you, like, what's your rule of thumb, or what's your thought process on how to really maximize to accrue these kind of points and these kind of benefits?
So for me, it's a great question. We actually have 5 because we have our personal. So we have an American Airlines and a Marriott for us personally. And then we have, Jordan has 2 for her business, a Marriott and American Airlines. And so those go to her number. And then our personal ones go to my number. And then we also have an American Express card that we've had it was our first one we've had for years. But we keep it because it has a really cool concierge line that has gotten us into restaurants that you can't get into otherwise. And so we've used it from that perspective. Rule of thumb is if you've got more than 50, or if you've got, let's say you have $100,000 a year that you're spending, you probably should have 2, just because you can split those up. So what I try to do is I have all of our reoccurring bills, the electricity, the cable, the Netflix, all that other stuff on one credit card. And then I have the one that I carry with me to spend on whatever, gas, food. And that's it's how I worry about it. Instead of trying to carry 2 cards at once, that's sort of how I do it. And then when I get around October, I start looking at, where are my points at? Because every one of these credit cards has a threshold to give you extras. And they're usually around that $40,000 mark. So if you get to 40 grand a year, you're not getting that much more by having that card, because they've already given you all the perks. And so that's why I feel like that number's somewhere around that range. Someone had a really good question, and they asked why I do Marriott, I think, over Hilton. It's just a personal preference. I wanted to be able to look at going international, and Marriott has more of a presence international than local. There's a lot more hotels within Marriott, and I just personally, I like that aspect of it.
Matt's job is to call in West Texas, and there's more Marriotts where he can stay the night as well, in like tiny towns where his work sends him, but he uses his credit card and gets reimbursed, so that we always get the points. Like, we're very point conscious.
Yeah. And then I chose American Airlines because I live in Dallas. So the hub was here. You could do the same with, United if you're in Houston, or Delta if you're in Atlanta, like whatever is convenient for you guys. And as you build these up, keep in mind too, like I get almost every time I stay in a Courtyard Marriott now, because of my status, I get upgraded to a suite. And same with American Airlines. Every time I fly out to West Texas, I get upgraded to first class. I don't pay for that. It just comes with it. I have a lounge everywhere I go. And so when I stay at a Marriott, I get access to what they call the M Lounge, which is just like a regular lounge. So they try to give me like, hey, do you want a free breakfast? Do you want points? I always choose points when I check in, because I'll just go to the M Lounge and I'll get breakfast there. It's not a big deal.
Man, I love this. I feel like so behind. I don't know if anybody else feels like this. Maybe you guys already have it all figured out, and I'm the last one left, because I'm definitely in seat like 32B. I'm in like the room next to the elevator, right? Like that's my life. So
Adelina, Matt will set up some like one-on-one coaching with you.
Yeah.
I'm about to level up my life. And I love that you talk about the points threshold, right? Because it's like, there's a diminishing return if you just put it all on one, right? Like, and know thyself, know your own financials. Love that. Cool.
And you probably, everyone on this call has a business card and has a personal card. If you don't, then you don't tell your CPA that, right? Like, you all run a business. So that's 2 cards right there. You can have one Marriott or Hilton and one American Airlines or United or whatever, one for business and one for personal. It doesn't have to be complicated, but you already have to keep them separated anyways, the expenses. So you might as well have 2 different cards.
Quick question. Like, so what is your philosophy on, or what is your coaching on how to make sure that, we are disciplined with this, right? Because it's so easy to put something on a credit card, right? And you shouldn't put anything that you don't have the money to pay off at the end of the month. What's kind of like, as you guys were starting this, in the earlier days, before maybe you saw the success that you have today, and even today with the success, if you can't be disciplined, you can't keep it. What's your coaching on that? How would you coach us? Because we hear that credit cards are bad. Don't use credit cards.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I think that's a valid point, 100%. And, Jordan and I have always been very budget conscious. And so we've just always paid it off. I think if you don't have discipline to pay off your credit cards, this is not for you, right? If you struggle with alcohol, don't go into a bar, right? I mean, don't just ask for something that's just going to give it right back to you. So if you already struggle with that, then I wouldn't recommend it. If you're already spending a credit card and paying it off every month, 100%, you might as well maximize it, but don't do it if you're already struggling with some debt here. Joe, Jordan, you have anything to add?
I was just saying, you say that we're budget conscious. I call the budget the B word when we used to go over the budget every month. So, I mean, I still saw it as like this negative thing. But yes, I mean, all of these cards have super high rates and they're counting on you like defaulting on that. So it is worth being conscious about that. If you're gonna carry a balance, don't carry it on these. So choose to pay these off. And at one point, I think it was my dad who got a credit card for 6 months, 0% interest. And so he transferred all of his other credit card debt to that credit card, and being without the interest, he was able to like snowball pay it off. So there's a lot of strategies around that. But yeah, I mean, I think it drives you to, when we're looking at why and goals, Ben and Chris had us do that budget planning for our monthly plan. And then beyond that, it was like, what money would you spend otherwise? And so I think once you get those basic needs met, then you can look at that other fun stuff that you want to start, putting on there. But we just put everything on a credit card. Matt just literally shakes his head at me when I use the Marriott card to book a flight. He's so frustrated. Or if
no one believes that I get frustrated at you.
If I use PayPal because of ease and convenience to pay for something. And so if possible, even though it's like an extra step to go get your credit card and put it on that, go ahead and go get it and put it on that, because somebody is getting points off of that. If you're not, somebody is. And so it's just whoever can play the game and wants to play the game the best. And maybe this isn't your thing. If it weren't for Matt, it wouldn't be my thing. But he loves this game and he loves to think about and scheme on what we're going to do for the next year and what kind of points we want to put towards that. Like flying back from Hawaii first class, we knew we wanted to sleep. We're parents of fairly young children and we were already going to be gone 4 nights. So running this business, we decided, we want to stay as late as possible and fly overnight. That would be great. So the flight there, we flew during the day and it sucked. And we sat in regular whatever seats. And then the flight home, we were in pods and we got to sleep and then come straight into work that day. So just making decisions like that and forecasting what you want to do with your year, business planning all plays into that. And I think this is a really nice way to fold into business planning and that life by design and time off that you plan on taking.
Yep. Absolutely. I've got a few questions here in the chat I want to get to. Tracy, great question. If you don't travel much, right, what kind of card do you use? My advice is American Express. You can use Discover or Capital One and they're good. I just feel like American Express has more extras in it. The first one that we ever got, because I didn't want to make a decision on to go Marriott or to American Airlines, was the American Express Platinum card. The cost has gone up every year, but that one comes with a huge concierge line. You've got, rental car credit. They have like a big, if you go and spend a bunch of money on like a watch or a piece of jewelry, they have insurance with that. There's a lot of perks in that American Express card that make it worth it. And then you can use statement credit. So once you earn over 100,000 points, they do essentially $1 for 1,000 return on that. So you would be, if you got 100,000 points, it'd be $1,000 statement credit to your bill. So that's one way that you can do it. You can also cash those in for gift cards. They do specials and you can do that. They also have a travel. If you do want to take a trip, they have a travel agency that you can use all of your points on booking everything, your car, your hotel. So I prefer American Express if you're not looking at a one or the other on how that goes. Reason you chose American Airlines over other airlines, I just live in Dallas. The hub for American Airlines is in Dallas. And so it's just convenient. I have most of the places that I go are nonstop out of Dallas. So that's why I just didn't choose United or everything else, just more options for me. Nothing against any other one. They all suck, to be honest. I mean, none of them are great. They cancel flights it's very inconvenient. They overcharge, but you just sort of is what it is. Signing up and then getting a referral from your friend. Yeah, absolutely. So if any of you guys signed up and put me as your referral, we would both usually get some sort of reward points, right? And if that's 20 or 30,000 points, typically there's a code that's involved. And so you send a code and that's what you use to sign up. And then you would get extra bonus. And then I would get an extra bonus. So yeah, that's possible as well. Apple Pay and PayPal, Tracy's right. You can add that to your account and just put your credit card, whichever credit card you use, add those to those accounts, and that's what you will use. Let's see, is there any ones that I've missed? Oh yeah, you're right, Bart. I forgot about that perk with American Express on the Platinum. They have a $200 a year Uber credit. So I get $20 a month that just hits my account, whether I use it or I don't. So when I go to use Uber, $40 expense, it becomes 20. So that's an option. Let's see here. Yep. Looks like a lot of people have American Express. So that's good too. Yeah, they have a lot of places you can buy stuff online. They run specials and all that just gives you more points. But there you go.
You know what this reminds me of, Matt and Jordan? It reminds me of, when Ben says, leverage is earned, right? You earn leverage through discipline. This is so much like that, right? If you have the discipline to pay off your credit cards every month, then this is huge leverage to use this as a tool to improve like the quality of your experiences in your life, right? Like leverage is always earned, right? There's always a cost to it. And in this situation, it's a discipline. And like you can be the Matt of this, right? And you can create those experiences for yourself and for your family. I love this. This was awesome.
You bet. Thanks for having me come on. Appreciate it.
Anything else? Anybody else? Last call? No, that's awesome. Cool. Next week is Thanksgiving. So guess what? We're all off for Thanksgiving, which is amazing. And so much fun to be off for Thanksgiving. And then we'll come back the following week. And I think we have inventory creation day, Jordan, that day. So we'll figure out what we're going to do for that one. We'll get together with the Texas leaders and figure out what that looks like. But man, it's the home stretch, you guys. It's the home stretch. This is it. So I love where we're going. I love that we get to do it with you guys. And I love that we're going to have an awesome 2023. And hopefully some of that awesomeness is a few extra hotel stays, a few extra flights that you get to take that you didn't have to pay for by using a little bit of discipline and the tools that credit cards allow us to have. Thank you so much, Matt and Jordan, for this morning. And everybody else, have a great weekend and finish up the week strong. We'll see you guys later.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye, guys.